Hi, I'm Jane King, and thank you for watching. This show is all about public, private, and blockchain companies. We bring you the innovators behind the companies making the headlines in that space. Some are sponsored, some are invited, all are curated and focused on telling you, the viewers, their story. Here we go. Tonix recently presented a scientific poster at the American Society of Clinical Psychopharmacology annual meeting, which detailed the positive results of a phase 3 study using TNX 102SL in fibromyalgia. And so with me is the CEO, Seth Lutterman, to talk more about this, what it means. So welcome back, Seth.
Thank you for having me back on.
Yeah. So let's start with just give me an overall of this clinical study that you did for the fibromyalgia treatment. Bring us up to date on that.
Well, it's a big win for fibromyalgia patients. We think that this clearly shows that our model of improving sleep quality can lead to an improvement in across the board in fibromyalgia. The primary endpoint of the study was pain, because fibromyalgia is considered a pain disorder. And in this study, it was a 14-week study, and people got either our drug, TNX 102SL, or placebo. And after 14 weeks, the treated people did better on pain than the placebo group, and that was statistically significant by the pre-specified primary analysis. So it was a positive phase 3 study, and since you need 2 phase 3 studies for FDA approval, we think we're halfway home.
Okay. How big of a problem is fibromyalgia in the U.S., globally?
Fibromyalgia affects about 10 million American adults. About half of them are diagnosed, and about 90% of the diagnosed people are treated. But still, there's a long way to go to get the other half of fibromyalgia patients into treatment, because there are some good treatments already available, and we think that ours will also be a very important addition to the treatment options.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned that you've done 1/3 phase trial, and that was positive. So you do another one. How long do you think it might be before this gets FDA approval?
In the United States, you need 2 phase 3 studies for approval. So we've finished 1 phase 3 study. The second one, we're already enrolling. We expect to have interim analysis next quarter. So in Q3, which is just in a couple of weeks, Q3 starts. And then we've guided that we'll have top line on that study in the first quarter of 2022, so the first quarter of next year. Mm-hmm. So if that study's positive, we expect to be able to file the new drug application in 2022, and we expect to have FDA approval in 2023. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, that depends on the next study confirming the results of the study we just completed, but we're optimistic about that because the current phase 3 study is pretty much identical to the one we just completed that was successful. Now, the one difference is it's a larger study, but we made it larger to increase the chances that it would be successful.
Mm-hmm. Can you describe the treatment? Is it a pill? I mean, how does it work?
Yeah, thank you. It's a tablet that goes under the tongue, and it's taken every night at bedtime. So every night just before bedtime, the person takes the tablet, puts it under the tongue. Under the tongue, it rapidly disintegrates and then is absorbed into the bloodstream by the mucous membrane under the tongue. And what it does is it improves sleep quality. And we think that sleep quality is very different from quantity. So quality means how useful the sleep is from a health point of view. And quantity is just someone being knocked out, but not necessarily getting good sleep. So the sleep drugs that are approved in the United States today are focused on quantity, and they're called sedatives or hypnotics, whereas ours does not knock you out. Ours is designed to improve the quality. So while someone is sleeping, while someone with fibromyalgia is sleeping, processes in the brain can occur that lead to an overall improvement in their health.
Okay, interesting. So since this deals with sleep, will there be other indications for this treatment?
Excellent question. Yes, we think that poor sleep quality leads to problems in many different conditions. Now, each one of these different conditions has their own particular type of sleep problem. So we're going to have to test it in each one of these conditions before we know. But we do have active INDs, that means an investigational new drug application, in 3 other conditions already. And those are post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, agitation in Alzheimer's disease, which is a common but difficult problem, and alcoholism. The new name for alcoholism is called alcohol use disorder. So those are 3 conditions where scientists believe that poor sleep exacerbates, prolongs, or generally worsens these conditions. So we intend to try it in these 3 and also other diseases, because as you said, sleep is a component of many different conditions.
Sure is. So what are the key takeaways then of this program?
Well, the key takeaways are that there hasn't been a new fibromyalgia drug in over 10 years, and a lot has been learned about fibromyalgia in those 10 years. I think the big differentiator of our product, if approved, is that it targets sleep quality. And one of the things that's very unique about that is we can target sleep quality in fibromyalgia, improve the pain, and yet we are using a medicine that is recognized not to have addictive or dependency issues. So I think it's a different mechanism, completely different mechanism than the approved drugs and in fibromyalgia. And we think it's going to be a very important option for fibromyalgia patients.
Okay, very interesting. We'll come back when you start to get that second phase 3 trial going. And we'll see. We'll get an update.
Great. I look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Seth Letterman of Tonix Pharmaceuticals. Globex data is in an industry that is growing and probably becoming even more important as the world goes on. And with me is the CEO, Alon Ghani, to explain about Globex data. And we're talking about cybersecurity, hacking. I mean, we hear about these, it seems like every day, and it seems they're becoming more frequent, and the money exchanged is more than I ever remember. I mean, millions and millions and millions. So Alon, welcome. Good to see you again. And I guess, like, for people who haven't seen our previous interviews, just give me an overview of what Globex data is doing.
Sure. Thank you, Jane, and hello to anyone who's watching us. So Globex Data is originally a Swiss-based company, which spun off an entity in the public markets in Canada and US. We trade under ticker SWISF. What we do is we specialize in secure and private communication. So we have one main application called Secure, spelled SEKUR. You can go to secure.com and see what we do. And we have an email and a messaging app. Now, what's different between us and the competition, let's say, is that we do not use any of the big tech platforms to host our application. We do not use open source coding, so that eliminates, of course, a lot of hacking issue. And we also store everything in Switzerland only. I'm from Switzerland myself. So all the data centers are in Switzerland. There are redundancies only in Switzerland. We don't use AWS or any of these international company. And that also makes it very unique because we don't need to comply with a very intrusive Cloud Act. You can look it up. The Cloud Act is a law that came about a couple of years ago that dictates that even if your data is in a foreign country, if you're using a US technology platform, it can be subpoenaed or it'll be duplicated in the US. So we're in a very unique position. We have Secure, which is an email and messaging app, and we have Secure Messenger for $5 a month. You basically get the best privacy out there. We also don't require your phone number to download the app and to register. That is critical because you just talked about all the hacking, and basically, the hacking comes first with your phone.
Yeah, interesting. So now we had a high profile situation here in the US over the past couple of weeks. Tucker Carlson, a Fox News host, claims that he has been hacked by the NSA, the National Security Agency. I mean, what are your thoughts about that situation?
I saw that, and we don't know who hacked him, but the fact is, this is where the Cloud Act comes in, so it's intrusive. I'm sure that Mr. Carlson's email or platform is hosted by Microsoft, Google, or AWS. The open source coding is one problem. Also, Microsoft got its source code stolen when they had a few of the SolarWinds hacks, so there's no more security out there. Now, whether it's NSA or somebody else that was hired to do it, the point is that Mr. Carlson's emails were now all over the map, and he was actually getting copies from his email from other people, so everybody can read his content. And that also brings me to the data mining issue. We do not data mine anything. And we're probably the only ones who do that because data mining is too much of a good thing. So basically it's too profitable for companies to ignore. But us, because of the Swiss law, because of our philosophy and everything else, we don't data mine anything.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jane. And thanks everyone for watching. Remember, please go to secure.com, sekur.com, or if I may, globexdata.com, which is our corporate site.
Okay. Petproducts.com. Thousands of products. An Al Simon Wee Wee Pad Inventor Company. Well, Kylan says it is doing for data what DeFi did for crypto. And so with me is Dylan Dudney, who is the Chief Effort Officer and also a founder of Kylan, to kind of explain what all that means. So Dylan, welcome. And I guess just start off and give me an overview of Kylan and what it is you're doing.
So Kylan is essentially a data blockchain. And what we mean by that is we're built on Substrate, we're built using Substrate and on top of Polkadot. Polkadot itself is like a layer 0, and many different parachains will be put on top of that, acting like layer 1 blockchains. We are looking to be one of those parachains, or a layer 1 blockchain, and we're basically a validated data blockchain. What that means is we're able to take data from various different sources. Anything that can be represented by zeros and ones can be validated by us, put on chain, and then can automate different smart contracts. And that's sort of like the technical viewpoint of what Kylan is.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That was very technical, and thank you for that. No, that's good. No, I'm glad we have that background, but how would a consumer or use this, or a business use this?
So we have this slogan, doing for DeFi, or excuse me, doing for data what DeFi did for crypto. I better make sure I get my own slogans right. And basically what we mean by that is if we take the trend of DeFi in crypto, which was basically a way for traditional financial instruments like yield or collateralized loans to be echoed within a decentralized environment. We're doing sort of the same thing for data, or at least we hope to. We at least hope to be on the leading edge of what we see as a very large trend coming to the fore in the next year and a half, which is decentralized data, or a new term that we've come up with, D-data. And so in the same way that, in 2017 and 2018, all the way through to late 2019, we had these, idle crypto assets, right? Like we had BTC and we had ETH just sitting in wallets, sort of doing nothing. And then all of a sudden we had all these things we could do with them that were, really interesting and remunerative. We see that same sort of trend occurring for data. So whether that's data on chain, right? So for example, wallet behavior, very, very, very neat to start to understand, somebody's wallet behavior, attaching it to perhaps an identity, and then you can assess credit risk. These are interesting applications, but then there are also enterprise level applications. For example, how do I monetize or sell data in a decentralized way?
Yeah, well, data is the new oil, I hear. So, and it sounds like it could be even bigger than oil, at some point. So, describe to me some use cases so we can have a better sense of exactly what it is Kylan's doing.
Yeah, so the use cases I really like to talk about are, there's a couple that I really hone in on, or three that I really hone in, because I think they're really interesting, and they're a bit like lightning rods for people's interest. So the first that I talk about is, this may sound like science fiction, but tokenizing genomes, right? What that means is an individual could basically put their genomic information in an anonymized way on chain, and then sell it directly in a decentralized way, P2P, to researchers. A lot of people say, "Oh, I'd never do that," or they're very interested, or they have privacy concerns or things like that, but or they think it's too far out in the future and that seems weird. But the thing that's really interesting to think about is that it's actually happening right now. Companies like 23andMe and Ancestry.com, they actually, half of their rev gen, close to half of their revenue generation comes from selling your genomic information on the back end to researchers. So it's a business model that's already operational, but like many business models, they have a point of centrality that they're filtered through. Many business models that rely on individual information. So that would be one thing that you could do. You could tokenize your genome. You could throw it on a decentralized marketplace. You could basically monetize yourself, literally.
Well, very interesting. And Dylan, I hope you come back and because I think this is a story that is going to be continuously told over the next few years. So come back and update it. Yeah, I'd
love to. And I really appreciate you giving me and the project a venue to discuss, what we're up to. I so appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dylan. Petproducts.com. Thousands of products. An Al Simon Wee Pad Inventor Company. MahaDAO is creating a currency that performs better than inflation. And with me is the creator of the currency, Steve Inamakel. And Steve, I was just telling you, your timing may be unbelievable because we're starting to see inflation. So let's back up a little bit. Tell me about MahaDAO, what its purpose is and why you decided to create it.
Awesome. Thank you for having me, Jane. Right. I'm going to quickly explain to you what is MahaDAO. So MahaDAO is a cryptocurrency project that is aiming to create the world's first value coin. In the cryptocurrency space, we have seen many different kinds of currencies. We've seen stable coins, we've seen volatile currencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum. But value coin is something new. It is fundamentally very different from what a cryptocurrency market has seen. And essentially, it is trying to solve and answer the problem of inflation, which is basically, can we create something that is stable, that can be used as a store of value and a medium of exchange, but at the same time fight the current inflation crisis that we have today? So if you look at what in the crypto space today, you have Bitcoin, Ethereum, and these cryptocurrencies that serve more of a use case of being a store of value than a medium of exchange. Mm-hmm. And then you have the US dollar, the fiat currencies that serve as a medium of exchange, but suffer through massive inflation. So basically, we are creating a currency that has like the best of both, right? Which is a good store of value and a medium of exchange that, performs better than inflation.
Mm-hmm. So why did you think this was important to do this? I mean, give me your background, and inflation's been a hot topic. I mean, did you kind of foresee this, and what made you think inflation was coming?
So sure. So a lot of, so my background is computer science and economics. The motivation for a lot of this is precisely how the current federal governments have handled the coronavirus crisis. And the response was to simply print more fiat currency. And also the fact that where the crypto space is today, if you look at currencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum, they mostly don't serve the purpose of buying a cup of coffee anymore, right? It's more to the narrative for these cryptocurrencies have shifted from being a medium of exchange to more store of value, right? And so we decided that, hey, there is a gap here, that why don't we create something that could sort of do both? And in the crypto space, there have been different attempts in trying to create such a currency. And of course, the coronavirus pandemic accelerated the need for creating something that, could fight inflation. We just decided that, it's time that we created something and took a step forward in doing that. So that's where we came up with MahaDAO in creating the world's first value coin.
Okay, very interesting. Thank you so much, Stephen, for joining us.
Thank you, Jane, for having me.
Petproducts.com. Thousands of products. An Al Simon Wee Pad Inventor Company. FinexFlow is a global cryptocurrency exchange aggregator that is designed to help traders get the best prices. And with me is co-founder and CEO James Gillingham. Welcome, James. Good to see you again.
Thank you, Jane. Really good to see you as always.
So regulators are now clamping down on these big players in the cryptocurrency space. We've seen volume dry up with trading and so forth. What are your views on that?
Well, for us over here at FinexFlow, we've already been pre-set up. So back in 2019, when we started the company, we were already pre-set up to actually work with the regulators. So we've already registered. We're already ongoing with our applications for both the US, Europe, as well as Asia. So we've already kind of fought ahead of the curve. I actually love the fact that there are regulators coming into the space now that are actually trying to regulate both spot crypto, because that essentially ensures that there's a safe environment for all participants, whether that's retail, institutions, and then obviously the actual trading volumes, which you just mentioned, will actually start to grow because people get a lot more confidence in the overall industry, and that's something that we're really looking for at FinexFlow, to be able to ensure that this industry becomes the number one asset class class in the world. And the only way that that's going to happen is if the regulators globally collaborate and come together. So I actually think it's an absolute amazing thing.
So it sounds like you're bullish on cryptocurrency going forward, and regulation will play a part of that, part of the acceptance.
100%. Yeah, I'm super, super bullish for the regulators.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, can you share the steps that Finex Flow is taking to provide the well-regulated trading environment that you just talked about?
Sure. So as I previously just mentioned, we do have regulation here in Asia. So we're regulated by the Monetary Authority of Singapore. We're acquiring a license. We've been grandfathered because, again, we were here pre-licensing. So they've given us a license already, which is essentially a grandfathering. But we have applied for our full coverage, which we're hoping will be due this year. We also have regulation by the European regulator, which will allow us to be regulated across Europe, across 27 member states. That's in Cyprus, in CISEC. So we're super excited with that. And again, that should be probably Q4 this year. And then we're also going for the broker-dealer license in the US, specifically for FINRA and the SEC, because we are a broker. Essentially, we're a prime broker. But not only this, Jane, we've also executed our own trading rulebook. So the actual trading rulebook itself is there to stop nefarious activities. So right now within crypto, there are things like front running, there are wash trading, there's all this kind of these happenings, this stuff that's going on, and we're here with our trading rulebook to stop this. So essentially, any traders that are breaking out our rulebook within our rules, we'll give them one opportunity, second opportunity, and then we will stop them trading from within the ecosystem.
Good luck on the launch.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure speaking to you as always.
Yes, you too, James. Thank you.
All right. Cheers, Jamie.